Just in time.
Hans Comyn.
Present.
A man in Poland sent you a message the other day.
Yes. And I was a man in Poland, but a man from South Africa.
So I pour myself a steaming hot cup of coffee here on a very cold morning.
Very cold.
That water, I think, is the coldest that it's been since we've been here.
It was especially cold coming out. I felt like usually the sun is there, it's warmed up a bit.
Yeah.
Today
I think we were extra cold from the water, and then you get into the wind, and it's like, jeez.
Still.
We arrive on the beach these days, and everyone you see is, they got their stocking caps on, and their long pants, and their coats, and they're all bundled up, And then we stand out there on the beach, and we make our stand, we share our vision with the world. And the sun's not even up yet, still waiting for the sun. And then we rip off our clothes, we charge the sea shouting, Geronimo!
And dive in our Speedos. And they must think, these guys are really insane. But
well, you're the one that wears the Speedo. So.
Michael goes naked.
That's a scary thought, huh?
That's scary for everyone.
Yes.
All right. Before I get to that message, I want to read this text. It's not a poem, but it was a movie, an obscure Japanese movie I started watching the other day. And it was a translation. And I notice how when I speak about adventure, when I think about adventure and everything that's important in life, I'm more called by poetry and music and then by rallying cries. So when I read this poem, I instantly felt, wow, I gotta do more adventure. It's this, I want to read it, and then I'm going to read what the guy wrote, the South African guy who's in Poland. Accept the adventure. Listen to your calling now, right now, before the irrevocable moment is gone. All you need to do is close the door behind you and take a joyful step out. When you let go of your old life, a new one will come forth at once. And later, much later, one day, when you have emptied your glass and have finished playing, then you may return to your home and rest by your river with all your good memories and dear companions. I thought it was so beautiful. To accept the adventure. Close the door behind you and a new life will come forth at once. And it's the story of this South African guy. Oh, I wish I had his name. It's up there. Can we see it on top?
Yes.
Look. Lungisani. Oh, I don't have the whole name. Anyway, he writes to me and says this.
It might be Yungisani.
Yungisani?
Yungisani.
Yungisani Myangu something. I forgot. Sorry, man. If you're watching, it's because I can't see the whole name.
Yungusani.
Yungusani. He says this. Hey Hans, I started listening to your podcast on October last year. This is the seduction show. And yes, a lot of the episodes I'm with Michael talking about these adventures, talking about secret kingdoms. I started listening to your podcast on October last year. The third episode especially struck a chord with me. I had never thought of the concept of moving to a place where no one else looks like you. I just laughed thinking, I'm from South Africa and planned to move to Poland, South Africa to Poland, when I heard your message. So he writes, I planned, and then his next phrase is, since I got here, I've had a faster shift in mindset in 3 months than I had in all my 19 years of life.
That's so great.
That's incredible.
He heard your podcast in October. He planned to go there, right. And now he's been there 3 months.
Yes, he's been there since March or so, or end of February. So a shift in mindset in 3 months than I had in all my 19 years of life. Some days of my journey were extremely painful, but the good outweighs the bad. Throughout my teenage years, I wished that dating was easier or that women were different. But throughout these weeks, I'm beginning to realize I wouldn't have it any other way. Thanks for that. Should I read the last phrase too, Michael?
I think you really, really want to. You would not be complete if you didn't say the last.
I'm not going to say
it. I know you can't resist.
I won't say it, but it starts with your and it ends with awesome. But that's all I say. You can fill in the blanks. But to me, when I read this, I was just, yes, I felt that joy of like, this guy is in South Africa, you know, and I've been there a couple of times, and it's a completely different world than Europe. It's a completely different world than Eastern Europe.
Yeah, Eastern Europe's different from Western Europe.
Yes, and I've been in Poland, you know, and
I haven't been in South Africa or Poland.
Man,
2 places I'd love to go.
If you're a black man,
I'm not.
In Poland, I mean, you totally get noticed, you know.
Yeah,
it's not like
sure.
So I'm thinking of this guy listening,
especially when there's like a lot of snow on the ground.
I'm imagining him listening to the podcast, and that's what I mean. You never know when someone hears the call. You know, yesterday we were thinking, should we put out the podcast or not? And to someone, it could be exactly that one. You know, it could be exactly those words.
Yes.
And I don't know.
I mean, imagine this guy listens to your podcast, and I'm sure we were talking about, you know, the what happens, the way that you come alive, and the way that newness of someone sees someone different, and you see them, and they're different, and there's that magic in the conversation. Often, you know, rather than walking down the street and everyone, if you look the same as everyone else, even if you're different, you feel like you're different inside, people are going to look at you and assume that they know you. Like, they know most about you. Okay, you're another American and blah, blah, blah. You know, these aren't like verbal thoughts.
Yes.
But there's not that, like, that curiosity, that intrigue, that, you know, like this person's a gateway to a whole other world. And so we must have been talking about, you know, that kind of aliveness and what's possible in your dating life also. And
he never thought of like moving. He never thought of it. And then he hears it, says, hey, maybe I should go. And I'm imagining what he's thinking, like, where can I go?
Yeah.
And maybe, Poland.
You got to talk to him. But maybe he said, man, I really like Polish girls.
Yes.
And I'm just going to go. Right. And I'm just going. And he doesn't know anyone, doesn't know the world there, doesn't know the language. Imagine how difficult that might be. He just takes off. Man, that's great. And it's so great that he did it at 19, because now he's going to know himself as an adventurer.
Right.
All of his family's going to know him that way. That narrative of himself is going to transform the rest of his life.
Yes.
Because he did that this early. He just headed into the unknown.
And we'll bring him. I'll bring him on the seduction show. So we're talking. We'll set it up.
Gotta get that story.
We need to get the story. You know.
I want to be there.
It's so great. It's so great that.
By the way, we're assuming he's black, right? Because we don't know.
This is true, but the way he describes it
looks totally different, right?
He says if people look completely different than you, you know.
Yeah.
I might be wrong about that, but I think that's a fair assumption to make here. And that's what happens, you know. He hears a call, and for me the call was, for you the call maybe was my call was Zan, and I was like, because I was like, what's happening, and then I met him, and there was this invitation for a complete different life into adventure. And I'm like, yeah.
Sorry, you talk about seduction. I mean, you have to read some of the things that O sent me through the years, you know. And it wasn't just like the things he would write, the way he would speak, because I'm really getting it. Like right now, he knew worlds that I had never seen. You know, spoke, you know, perfect French. He's from Belgium. Spoke perfect Spanish. You know, he lived for years in Mexico. He hung out for long periods of time with Native American people. Long periods of time just in the wilderness by himself. So like this is like whole new worlds that like I had no ability to enter. And I imagine, you know, when you're someone like him, like you've really you know, like when he goes to France or Belgium or something, he's not an American in France. He's a French-speaking guy. I mean, his personality changes, his mannerisms change. He just, you know, and and I can relate to this struggle after my first 2 trips to Africa, coming back, and if you just tell people about it in a normal way of speaking, they'll just look back at you with a blank stare and be like, oh yeah, that's cool, yeah, well, you know, oh, you got some photos, let me see your photos. It's like, no, you want to transfer that aliveness, the wonder, but you struggle to do it with words. And man, he put such effort into trying to show these new worlds to me and to other people.
Well, maybe a way for people to experience it is, even if you go on a vacation, yeah? Even if you're just on a vacation, people say, I'm different on a vacation. You know, there's a facility there also to connect with people. There's an openness to see things you didn't see before, you know. Now imagine, and that's just a vacation, you know. Imagine you go travel and you come into parts that, you know, they're not resorts, that are, you know, that are the different worlds, and you want to adapt and contribute to that community. Imagine the capabilities it will give you just to step into that unknown.
Yes.
You know, it's amazing, and to continue to do that is it makes you so powerful, you know.
You talk about poetry and like the magic of that to invite you into adventure. I'm thinking of this one night. I was in Colorado. Must have been about 12 years ago. And I was like living and hanging out with who lived in the Latino part of Denver, Colorado. And it's not just like, it's almost like a different world. I mean, everything's different. The way people move, the way they connect with each other, the warmth you feel when you go into a little local restaurant. It was like being in like Mexico or something. And we go out, and there was a buddy of his who was, you know, he was definitely also like, I'm trying to think of like, you know, this big bearded man living a very kind of different life. And we went out to dinner, and then afterwards, you know, with a family from Venezuela, and, you know, a lot of the conversations in Spanish, and then it's nighttime, the moon is out, the stars are out, and we go for a hike just out in the middle of nowhere. And both of these guys had poems that they were memorized for them, that they just, you know, could share. And I had nothing, you know. And, you know, the way that they spoke of their poem, you can tell how much it means to them. And like it's poetry and art and music, like you're saying, has the ability to just kind of instantly transport you to a new way of looking at things, almost to a new world.
That's the power of seduction too. We're not describing this, articulating your trouble of like saying, oh, how is this world, you know? Well, maybe what art does, it's not trying to describe it, it's alluding to it. It's saying, hey, look at this, look at this. That's what seduction does too. I'm not describing it. I'm not saying, oh, it's like this. I'm not articulating it. In fact, I leave the mystery, but I'm saying, hey, there's something out there. There's something out. Did you know? Do you know? You know, and that is a great call to go there. For me, more powerful than saying, hey, come with me, you know? Yeah. Really saying, oh, I want to know.
When I come back from Africa and I'm with people in the States, I bet it's not even my words at all that is what seduces them to want to go to Africa. It's how I come alive.
Yes, your aliveness.
It's the energy. Yeah.
It's a good lesson for us. If we want people to have a felt experience, our felt experience is number one. You know? Yes. Our aliveness is number one.
Yes. It's a zone. What makes us come alive.
So yeah, this message of this guy makes me come alive. To see that guys are actually doing it. If he would not send this message, I would not know.
Well, you know, I think about people I know back in the States, and I could describe with them with words, and try to convince them, get them to go on a long journey, you know, Africa or something else, and I'm thinking of one person in particular who's close to me, and it doesn't make sense, quote unquote, make sense to him. It's that he doesn't want to go to Africa, you know, and he's all in his head thinking about, does it make sense? Is it practical? Do I want to go there? And there's no part of him that even knows what it would actually be like. So he's not even choosing between the experience that he would have there and not. He's just choosing within his range of...
But that's the same for anyone who does choose the adventure. They don't know either. When Zan invited me, I did not know what I was signing up for. I did not know what I was going into. But I felt it very strongly, and there was no way I could say no to that. Now I'm wondering with your friend, what is going on? My sense of things is that we hear that call, and the difference is whether you like cultivate that first moment, how you feel about that, yes, and you stay with that feeling and you call, or you go back and then you start rationalizing and looking at it and saying,
100%.
Is it, you know?
You stay in the comfort zone.
Yes.
In fact, to be productive, to be successful, you know, you want to minimize distractions. You want to minimize even feeling. You know, don't feel something too strongly because that could take me off path. You know, just the whole thing is like, oh, I'm going off path, get back on path. Oh, I'm going a little off, get back on. Faster, like a train, build momentum, go down the track.
And there's value in that. I mean, it's something I'm learning from you to apply more, you know? It doesn't matter how I feel in the morning. I'm getting up now.
Yes.
You know, if I would let it up to my feeling, I wouldn't.
Yes.
You know, so there's value in that. But to hear the call of adventure, and if you haven't answered it, you know, that's something, it's so important what you say here. It's not just a call of adventure, you know. It really is a call to come back to your senses and your body and honor your desire, honor your desire, honor your, you know, what you're really feeling, you know.
Imagine if you think back to like the Wild West days in the States, and there's a train that goes maybe as far as Ohio, you know, the western edge of Ohio from the East Coast, you know, and you've been on that train many times, back and forth on the tracks, you know, but that's the whole world, you know, is there, out there somewhere, you know, the natives, the wild animals, the wilderness, the unexplored territory, you know, but all you're just on that path of, you know, the world that you know on the train tracks. And I think for a lot of people that wilderness, or if you think back before then, when, you know, before Europeans came to the States, you see the sea out there, and you've heard tales of foreign lands and guys who've gone across on ship, but there's no television. You don't know what it looks like. You know nothing about it. It's this great unknown.
Thank God.
And I think nowadays what we have is an illusion that we know.
Yes.
Because we can go to YouTube and we can watch other people's in their tribes and other parts of the world. We can just sit in front of Netflix and we think that we get it. You know, we think we can kind of explore it or see it, which in a way we can. In a way.
Yeah, well, you're talking about specific like seeing countries, but I'm sure that anyone really feels, any man who has balls, you know, feels the call, feels
what
that.
About
like,
the men without balls?
they, I'm sure they feel it, you know, they feel, fuck, I haven't really been exploring, I haven't been fully alive, there's so much more to explore, you know.
Yes.
And then it's not like we stay in comfort, we go back to comfort. Because we don't want to feel, it's too much, you know. And I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm very interested in that process of like, how did I, for example, when Zan came, I answered that call and there was no way I wouldn't do it. That's why I don't think it's very courageous, but of course I'm going to do it, you know. And seeing this guy, you know, he hears a call and he's like, fuck, I gotta go, and he does it. And what's the difference between that, cultivating that feeling going, or the guy who says, oh, let me consider this. Is this sensible? Is this?
Well, you know, in civilization, it's a culture, you know. In a way, it's designed to keep things steady, to keep things the way they are, you know, to just the people in positions of power and everyone benefiting from it being just the way it is very, 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 very strong. You know, you begin to say, "Fuck it, I'm out of here," and you start packing up. The the looks on the faces of the people around you could be enough to stop you. You know, just there's but you know, yeah, the just leaving everything behind is really shamed.
Well, actually, maybe that's a great point. Like, because I don't want to get too academic, but if you have never left everything behind in your life, you know, you haven't lived enough. At least once, you got to renounce it. You got to close the door behind you, you know? Close the door behind you. Whatever, if you're feeling like you're just tolerating your plight and it's kind of okay, but not really, close the door behind you and a new life will come forth at once. I think it's a good parameter.
I'm just thinking of, you know, my past. I'm 17. My mom wants the keys to my Firebird it was ours, but it was stolen from us, and I stole it back. And she wants the keys. She's gonna take away my wild stallion. That it's my freedom. And I'm like, no. And I go to, you know, run out the door. And she's like, if you go out that door, don't you ever come back. And then she slammed the door behind me. So,
and a new life will come forth at once.
Yes, and the world came up to meet me, you know. But it was, yeah.
That's a great parameter. At least once in your life, reinvent yourself. At least once, close the door behind you.
Yes.
At least once, renounce it. You know.
Hang on to the wild horse, the wild stallion. You know, grab a hold of the mane, pull yourself on, even if there's no saddle. Give it a kick and just try to stay on as long as you can.
This is going to be more challenging to guys. You know, this metaphor is a lot more challenging. Fuck, I got to get on a horse. No. What you do, I say, is like, close the door behind you. Just close the door behind you and a new life will come forth. You're right there, you know. Or they say, pull the anchor and the ship will sail. You are...
Well, I think the horse and the ship are a lot more exciting, you know.
Jump off the cliff! You're a phoenix. What? I'm the phoenix. Epic. But yes, I think that's a great thing. If a guy, like, I got the call from Zan, you got the call from Lungi Sani got the call on episode 3 of the Seduction Show. What I don't think
that's an L, by the way. I think it's an I. Yungi Sani.
Yungi Sani. We'll figure it out because he's going to come on the Seduction Show. So
let's go meet him in Poland.
Oh yes, we can do that.
That would be awesome.
I talk with people in Poland right now. It's actually, they don't really care much, but it's hard to get in.
Oh, we should go visit him.
July we can go in Europe.
Yeah, what a great adventure.
Yes.
If
this, like, he got the call, he answered the call after episode 3 of the Seduction Show. You got I got Zan. What I would love is maybe this very conversation is one for a guy and he says, what the fuck? I have never reinvented myself. I never closed the door behind me and I don't really like what I'm in here.
Yes.
Close the door behind you.
Yes.
All right.
Say no to mediocrity. Say no to the status quo. Say no to comfort. And yeah, that's the first step to saying yes to a life of adventure. Close the door behind you.
Close the door behind you. See you tomorrow.